Okay, so I'm going to explain front post and back post trebles. Now, you have probably been previously used to doing your trebles either working under the stitch or in the stitch, between the stitch, so going in here. Or sometimes you may have followed a pattern and worked in the back loop only here, or in the front loop only here. But when you work a back post or a front post treble, you actually work around the posts. So all of these stitches here are called posts. And quite simply, when you work a front post treble, you do a treble as usual, but you put your hook into the front of your work behind the post and come up the other side of it, like so. And when you work a back post treble, you go into the back of your work, so the clue is in the name. You come up between the stitches and you go back down between the next stitch, so that your post runs across the back of your hook, like so. So just to refresh you, front post treble, you go in the front, front, so in the front and around the post, so the post sits over the front of your hook. And a back post treble, you go in the back and come up between the posts, go down between the next post, and your post sits on the back of your hook. And when you do that, it creates a lovely rib effect. So let's have a go. So we're going to go in the front, although I'm starting right at the end here, so there is obviously no gaps. In the front, so my stitch sits over the front, and I'm going to do my treble. Then I'm going to do a back one, so I'm going to wrap my yarn over. This time I'm going to go in the back, come over the top of my post and complete my treble. And then I'm going to wrap my yarn again. This time I'm going to go in the front, and each time I'm working over the next post along. Complete my treble. This time I'm going in the back, over my fourth post, complete my treble, in the front, over my fifth post, complete my treble. Oops. And you'll start to see a pattern appearing where you've got a stitch standing forward, which is your front post, a stitch sitting backwards, which is your back, a stitch sitting forwards, which is your front, and back, and so on. So it creates like a rib effect. Now the first row of front post, back post trebles always looks a little bit confusing, but as soon as you get into it, it starts to become much easier. So I'll show you when I turn and finish the row. So I've turned and done my chains. Now the second row is always much easier because the work actually shows you what stitch you need to do. And by that I mean that my first post here is standing forward. It's standing proud. So I know it's a front post treble, which means I need to go into the front of my work to complete it. My next post is sitting backwards from the work, so I know it's a back post treble, so I know I need to go into the back to complete it. And then the next one's standing forward, so it's a front. And it's just alternating. If you knit, it's just like rib. Knit, purl, knit, purl. So I've got one there that's behind, so it's a back. And it is a bit fiddly doing the back post trebles. And then one that's in front. Ooh. And then one that's behind. One that's in front. And you can see, I think already, that I'm starting to get this rib effect. So you've got the channels, you've got a backwards channel, this is standing nice and proud, backwards, and it's just like a knitted rib. So I hope that's helped you understand back post and front post trebles.